Alright, I'm gonna show you basically how I do my terrain work. So just quick things never to do. This add, like a lot of people do, they just do that. Never do that unless, no, actually, just never do it in general. Even if you're trying to fill out water right here, like that, and then maybe putting rock under it, or sand, never do that. That's lazy. No terrain on Earth is that flat like this, and people can tell. So, never do that. Subtract you can use, obviously, but add, don't. Same for generate. Don't use this unless you want clear. So, how I do it, I do shadow map. You can do this however you want, but I would probably go to 0.4 as the highest. But for now, I'll have it like that. Now, for lighting, really you don't need that many. Let me go to the room real quick. Okay. So these are like the main lighting I use. And blur, have it be at 2 at the highest when using it, or else it'll really just blur out the details. But anyway, I'm going to teach you some more basics. This is a file I have. That over there is when I first started actually getting into terrain work in April, which isn't bad, but has a lot of parts and would cause some lag. But yeah, this is where I get my rocks, and if you see mountains, I use this, and I use a texture over it. But, alright, so with any mesh on Roblox, really you want to change the material, this, to fabric. Because, you see, like, this is after I changed it, and this is before. There's less of a glare if you change it to fabric. But one thing you do come at risk when doing this, now it's fabric, if it doesn't have a texture, it'll show fabric. Some places, they know about changing the material to fabric, but they forget about putting a texture over the bark. And keep in mind also, you can use any bark texture with this. Like, let's say you were doing that real quick, getting your own type of bark. Let's put that right there. Okay, so I have my decal. Just go to any ID, like any decal, then get the ID. Go right here. Place it right here. Then it's like this. But sometimes the decal doesn't like fit it. So you can also, usually, if you can't make it work where it's not as highly detailed, you'll need to get like a texture to do instead. Like this. And then put like, let's put this right here. See how that looks like shit? You can do that. That looks a lot better. So really, you just go to any decal and make it look good. And you can do the same with mountains as well. Like this, I have a texture over the mountains. I use that your Septimia as well, and it makes it look really like the actual rocks, the actual terrain. Like you have the terrain here, and then you have the mountain. And far away, it looks pretty fucking similar. Like right here, some of this is the terrain, and some is the mountain, and it looks similar. But yeah, so that's generally the gist on that. So for now, the actual terrain work. Alright, I make this bright when I do terrain work, because if there's shadows, I can notice anything that's wrong. But anyway, I'm just gonna add some grass so I have something to work with. I usually use a leaf, but when I do that, if you go right here and go material colors, you can change how it looks if you didn't know. So, okay, well, for your place, for example, I do not have it open, but I changed the leaf with this, but anyway. So let's get a tree first, because you want the color of the terrain to match the trees, because, like, let's grab this. Right here, let's change the fabric, because that glare really annoys me. Alright, so if you have this, like, right here, alright, this doesn't match too much, you could probably get away with it, but if you go with the original look, which is probably like that, that doesn't match whatsoever. Even, I'm pretty sure natural grass. Yeah, like, you see how that normal grass doesn't match with the tree? It doesn't, it just looks really weird. So, instead, I could try to match it by just going like that, and it matches. And anyway, so now that I have that shit covered, let's go for right now. I'm definitely changing that leaf color real quick. Actually, let me pull out a tree quick. Let me make all these trees fabric. Tend to forget to do that. I think those already are. Yeah. So that's a pretty common tree right here. You can use that for the other scroll genre. It doesn't really matter what type of tree you have, as long as you make sure none of the parts are collidable, because there's hitboxes. That, like, it's basically just invisible spaces that block where you can go. So make that sure that's off, so nothing like that. You can use trees like this, that even though the invisible box can collide is off, if you use it in a game like, let's say, the Star Wars genre, you could shoot right there, yet the tree will block it because of the invisible hitbox. So if you're in a scenario like that, on the Alderaan I made, I just made, okay, not with that one, but like with this, I just made it where the leaves went higher, and I added another bark to it. Oh, for that one I didn't, but for certain ones I did. I did push the leaves up. This is probably, is that one? No. Yeah, it's this one, definitely, yeah. No one will really notice these two, unless they're really paying attention, but just high stuff like that. So, anyway, so now you have that. Need different variants of trees, by the way, because no tree looks the same, but still make sure it makes sense for it to be there. But with, like, I have this tree, this type of tree, which I have at your Septimia. There's this type of tree, and stuff like that. And one thing I noticed at your fort is that all of them are the same rotation. You don't want to do that, because no trees are rotated the exact same and have the same placement. They're not congruent when it comes to the length of everything, so move certain trees up and down that are next to each other to make it look more realistic, rotate them. These are, I'm pretty sure, the same, but there's like stuff like that, just general gist of that. And if you have trees, I usually don't use this tree as much when next to the others. Like at your Septimia, just like to take the port. Alright. So, oh, this saved when I opened it. Alright, well, anyway. So, I used these two trees not as much because when you have this as your, let's say, most common tree, I have two others that are unique that add some variety, but just don't put them as often. There. So that's what I did, and I think it looks pretty nice when you have 2 types of trees, or maybe 3, and they're not as common. That's what I did with even the bushes. Like, this is the most common. This is one of the rare ones I put. Stuff. Also, for another thing, if, let's say you're back in the server genre, grass. In Elder Scrolls, you can probably get away with it being like this tall, but I just do this naturally, because I'm just used to it, but, and if you're in the Star Wars genre, and the grass is like, or just anything with guns, or let's say a raycast type of gun, and you shoot, the grass will block the shots. But if you put it down like how I originally had it, maybe like around there, yeah, it won't block it. Let me go here real quick. Okay, spawn's messed up there, but let me go right there real quick. Alright, so that's a good enough spot. So let's put this grass up higher, like that. So you have this. I made it so that the bark for this, the Canclide, isn't off, but the only reason is because I put the leaves really high up. But anyway. See? Yeah, make sure you don't do that. Whereas if I go to where I originally had the grass, there might be a few times that covers it, but it's not going to be that common. Another thing else I want to note, which is kind of off topic, make sure, if you're putting like a trunk, make sure it has the same texture as the most common tree when it comes to the bark. Because I know some games, people will have a different decal or texture from the most common tree, and that's really annoying. And make sure the size of it is pretty similar. Like if I was going off of this tree, you need to make it smaller, because the average bark for it isn't as big. So then when I do this again I had to resize when it came to that, because it looked dumb in its natural state. Like, it makes sense for it to be like this, instead of like this. Because if this bark is bigger than that, that makes no sense. So, just simple shit like that. Anyway, I'll pick my tree, finally. Let's just do these. Pretty sure I use that, your Septimia. But, alright. Make sure they have specific names, too. So if you need to look up specific ones, you can, let's say you need to delete all of them. You can do that easily. Or anchor all of them. So, that's kind of similar in color. Let's do this real quick. And that, yeah, it's going to be similar to that. So, let's get rid of this base plate. So, probably put this darker now. So if I'm working like this, again, why never use add, because it's never flat. If you go like this, people will notice there's actual differences in elevation, even if it's very tiny. Let's go like this. Since this is a hill, can't have that looking weird. I could possibly put a rock there and move the trees eventually. Stuff like that, and let's say I'm going to make a road. You have to go under, because roads are usually made to where they go a bit lower. So you want to go down, not too far down, to where it can be really noticeable. I did that with Alderaan, and it looked weird, kinda. Although I can get away with it, because there's vehicles in Star Wars. So, I could get away with it easier there, but if it's Elder Scrolls or just medieval, yeah, don't do that. So go down a tiny bit again, because usually there's a middle. So let's make sure this goes up and go down. Make sure it's a tiny bit, because you'd be surprised by how much it takes up. And go up again. Alright, then start this again. Let's go like this. Let's get a spawn. Make this invisible real quick, because it looks a lot better. Let's put that a bit below there. I should probably make it where you can't collide into it, but it doesn't matter for now. So there's like a difference. I could probably make this a bit more noticeable, but yeah, just stuff like that. And you can even use a road, but slightly touch it, because you don't want it going like that. I don't know. I'm just not too huge on that. But just touch it slightly. And then probably grow this a tiny bit. Yeah, it looks better. Now, let's put this here. Probably gotta put a rock there because of the little hill. These need to be bigger. Most trees, when they're leaves, they're not barely just touching the ground. It's dumb to do that. So let's make this. Like, see, this isn't just barely touching the ground. This one was. I've never seen a tree actually. Actually, I have, but it's not as common. So you have that. Since there's barely any space, you can either add a bush, grass, or you at least just add something. Or there's another way without having to add a mesh that you still add something, which I'm about to get to in a second. But anyway, so for these, you may have noticed at Septimia, which is, I put some right here, right? Yeah, like that. But don't always use this rock, type of rock, because when I use it, I put like right here, but when I do it again, I rotate it. See? Like how this is going down like that, and it's rotated, yet this is going up. Like I didn't even really went like that. I didn't even rotate it like that. All I did was just do that. Though, but this is my most common one, but I do use another type, which I think I used up here. Not sure. I used it somewhere. I think it was down here. No, I guess I did use seam rock. Well, oh no, I didn't. Yeah, right here. I did use a different type of rock, but yeah, just shit like that will work pretty nice. With this one, I used the general same type of rock, but I also rotated it a decent amount. But anyway, so let's get this type of rock. Let's go right here. Actually, no, that one isn't textured, because I didn't use textures until this map, for at least on mountains and rocks. So let's get this right here. Where's it? Okay. Another tip, I don't know if you know, but if you press F, it brings you to it, but I'm guessing you probably know that, but I'll just give you basic advice anyway. Okay, since the terrain work around here isn't that big, I would probably expand a bit, but don't make the rocks huge, because right now this map is small, and if you have huge rocks in a small map, that doesn't look as good. Right. How it goes usually in forests, there'll be a lot of going down, then maybe some flattish, kinda, but you're creating your own version of the flat, so it's not 100% flat, so it looks better than just using this. And you can stop right here, maybe go up again, but Yeah, since this tree, I could probably make a bit smaller. Yeah, so let's do this real quick. So how I do my rocks is, let's have this more shown. Okay. Usually when I do rocks, I don't have the terrain built around it yet, but if it is, just use paint, but barely go around it right now. Barely go around it. And I'm going to edit the rocks color so it matches. Okay. So, let's go to rock. Getting close. Nah. That's pretty close. I'm not satisfied with that. I think there's like a bit more of like a bluish kind of effect. Sometimes what I'll do if I can't figure out a right color, I'll just go to this and copy it. And then go to here. And it won't give you the exact same, like it definitely does not look like that. But I'll just mess around, generally around that color range. That's a little less saturated, yeah. That's annoying me, so I'm going to cheat. Actually, even here it doesn't match all the way. It looks closer, though. What did I do for this one? How close was I? Right here. Yeah, that's kind of close. Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah. Alright, so now what I do next, you go very low, you move one spot left. And you just go like this with paint. Just go like that. Like spread out a little bit. I mean, this technically isn't realistic, but it's fucking Roblox. This is the best you're gonna get with this. Okay, that wasn't good smooth. Let's probably bring... Be right back. Alright, I'm back. That's how bootleg this video is. Anyway, so let's go back. I'm going to... I don't know why I'm using a road. So, since this is going to be dumb. Yeah, it looks better. Sometimes if it's really not looking good, I'll sometimes go like that. But barely. Don't actually press on it, just tap on it. Yeah, kind of like that. And then maybe I'll do a little paint there. No, that's too much. Let's go right here. Yeah, I like that. Actually, let me grow a bit, because it should spread out this way a bit. Yeah, that looks a lot better. So let's go down back to this. Try to keep that relatively the same size that you were using the grow tool a lot. Anyway, so here's some terrain work. Let's move this up a bit so it tries to even it. But it doesn't have to be 100% because no terrain, even in real life, is that even. They're just generally around the same elevation. Okay, usually I don't use mud, by the way. I'm actually not going to be using mud. I'm going to change this back to ground. And you'll get why in a second. But also, it's sort of more personal preference. Anyway, so let's go to Alderon. Here's the mud. Oh, I did use it for that. Okay, never mind. Let's go to Septimia. Alright. There's this. I used ground texture right here. Yet for the, let's say, specks of dirt I would add around the map, it's mud. Mud. Ground. And sometimes I'll accidentally use mud instead of ground, but like I did now here. But let's go back to here. We have to redo what I did. Also, yes, you definitely have to edit the color of the ground. Okay, no. I meant to grow it. Okay, here we go. So I redid what I covered up with the ground texture. Alright, so let's make this look a bit more like actual dirt. Yeah. So I'll just save this as tutorial. Make sure you constantly save. I work in file because I can just go like this instead of having to publish and do all of that to save. So, because I usually don't work in Team Create either. I just don't like it. Anyway, so there's this. And now for the side of the road, I just smooth it, kinda. Let me make that not as aggressive. Yeah. Yeah. This looks a lot more natural doing that. Let's go to bushes. This is generally an area I just go to for my own thing. This whole set right here, by the way, it's a free model. There's not many people that use it. Let's make sure all these are... There we go. Make sure the bush, by the way, is similar in color. If it's rare, like let's say this doesn't match with that whatsoever. But since it's rare and there needs to be a variety of plants and vegetation, I add it anyway. It's a lot less common. I could guarantee you. Like, what's this called? Yeah, there's that many compared to this many, and that many valves, which is this plant. And there's only that tiny amount. Just stuff like that. So, if I'm going to be doing that, let's go back to normal. Alright, so this is where you see these little spots I'll add. Where is it? Yeah, I'll add stone around areas that had rock, but I won't reach out too far. There's that little patch there. I'll sometimes add normal grass, but I'll change its color to look similar. And sometimes I'll just keep it normal, like right here. So when I add all these patches, it feels like there's a lot more there than there actually is. And let me tell you, you're always going to feel like it looks retarded. But at the end of the day, it's not going to. You'll like it, kind of. But it just makes it look better. Anyway, so let's get back to here. So, color is this? Okay. Probably get away with this. Maybe. That looks kind of too dark. Yeah. Let me see if I can affect it with transparency. Nah, that looks too weird. It's too dark. But you can actually edit the color of the bushes if you wanted to actually go into it, but that takes a long amount of work, and I don't feel like doing that right now. But that's that plant I talked about that I rarely use. Let's go. Okay, yeah, we'll probably be using that. That's a favorite of mine to use because it generally goes well with anything. So before I add the bushes, let's just add dirt. Yeah, I like that. So make sure you use the one. Just go all the way to the size of 0 to where it does nothing. Actually, that does something. I know it did. I might use that then. I thought it didn't. Well. Alright, so I guess use that then. Just go to the very low and just add little spots. I guess that was an update. Originally you couldn't, if you went all the way down, it won't work. Alright, so you see how I add those spots? Now I can do grass too. Since I edited that, I want to make that a little bit less noticeable. Actually, I kind of like that color. So stuff like that. And then a bit far away I can add stone there because it's near the source of the stone, the rock. Not too far off. Now, let's start adding this. Right now it doesn't look good, as good as Septimia because I did the lighting and everything, but the terrain work still is. Okay, so let's make this a bit bigger. If it's not going to go bigger, by the way, I advise you get the plugin that's this, where you just make it bigger, although I don't know why I want that big, but okay, well I guess it's not going to work for this, so we're doing this. So even bushes, I'll rotate. You don't have to rotate to as extreme, it's just I make usually 3 or 2 copies of rotated, and I'll switch it. The valves here are bigger. Yeah. Oh, so I did make this big. Well, I guess that adds to the variety of it. There's 2 sizes, I guess. Alright. Since this is going to be the most common tree. I renamed these trees, by the way, as Septimia. That leaf is a bit close to the ground. Try to pay attention to details like that. Are these too similar? Nah, I'll get away with that. Yeah. Sometimes you don't want these too close to the terrain. Actually, now that leaf there, I don't think for this type of tree you can push the leaves up. I don't think you can because of that little effect there with the leaves not touching the branches. Yeah, you can't get away with it with those trees right there, this type. So let's add another. Since the leaf is going right into that terrain, which makes no sense, rotate it. Well, let's get a skybox because this lighting is actually killing me. We can go sunny. If we did night, that's going to be more challenging, kinda. I just don't think it looks as good as day. Because if you do night, and you want the game to rain night, don't do this. That's lazy. Instead, position the sun to where it can be right where that moon is, since it won't go further. Do negative. Now I need to control the sun ray, because no sun shines like, moon shines like that, so like that. Then you're going to do definitely contrast. Then make it blue. See? Now it looks like night. More so. I mean, it can be edited, the lighting, but you get the general gist of it. Alright, so let's make sure the skybox is realistic too. I like that. Where's the sun? Okay. Make sure if there is a sun there, align it with it close as you can. Let's make this... Yeah, this is what this does. I usually put on 2. This is the safest bet for color. If you want to look natural, if you're going to go up there for most maps, just leave it in this zone. Don't fully go like that. That's going to look bad most of the time. Just go like remain in this area. Since the skybox is blue, you're probably going to want bluish lighting. Yeah. So let's make the contrast a bit darker. Keep in mind, this contrast does affect the saturation. Brightness, you don't have to affect with too much. You can do stuff like that to affect it. Oh, what's that? Okay, well, anyway, I'm just gonna leave that 0. And then for outdoor, to do the color creation, it's really only gonna do something if it's this bright. And sometimes I'll mix the outdoor combination with the color correction, and I think it looks nice. Because it adds like a sunny, warmy feel, yet you still have the blue coming from the color correction. So let's go right here to play. Make sure the sun rays aren't annoying, because if they're down like this, and you have the sun rays being a pain in the ass, like this, some people do this, very few games can get away with it, and 2, it makes the trees, like you can see a lot more detail kinda, but it also makes it unrealistic, because if that wasn't there, you can kinda see it like it's brighter there when it's on. Nope. Anyway, I have 2 versions for the sun rays because they work together pretty nicely. But yeah. I mean, if it's like this, and it's, you can get away with it. But, yeah, what was the position? Also, control the sun, depending also on how it affects the trees' shadows. Because everything is about the feel of the game. Because shadows can go in one direction. If the base is in that direction, you should probably have the shadows like, if you care about the Raiders or Visitors presentation, like first impression, you can do that, but I would advise against it. I'd probably have it right in the middle where the base is that way. Raiders spawn is that way. So they both get to experience shadows going like this. Because if you have it where it's base is that way, Raiders that way, this is what's going to happen. When I put a building there, there's going to be a huge shadow. So there's barely going to be any lighting that the sun is actually casting on, and it's just going to be one big blob of a shadow, and it looks really bad. Like, for right here, I have a bunch of lighting right here. Honestly, I'm not too huge on this part of the map right here. I just like this bit. Let's say I put the... I just cared about the Raiders' first impression. Okay, let's move it over here. Moving the sun across the map is one of the most annoying things. Yeah, I'm going to have to do negative. Yeah, so let's see this. Like, it looks nice, you have the shadows going down. But then, once you get to here, you start to notice more of a shadow. And it looks less realistic. And then, you have that. Blob. Whereas over here, it's got to look nice, but eh. So yeah, I just like it being like this. So there's some shadows equally for both. They're both pretty nice. There's no huge blobs and stuff. So yeah. Alright, so let's go back to terrain work. I'm not going to make this a lot too much longer. I'm just going to do the general gist of it. So I'm going to rush this a tiny bit. So making the size a bit bigger. Changing the elevation, that's probably be a rock, maybe. Don't want to do too many rocks in the same area or else it's not special. Just if you feel like there's too many bushes near it and trees and there's not much room, then you put a rock. Probably get put a trunk there. Anyway, you can get away with this being at the same rotation since it's not right next to it like this, so people won't notice, and since these rotations are different, people are going to be like, oh, they're all rotated differently, when they don't realize the same rotation of trees is near each other. Let's get another tree. I'm going to go to September real quick and borrow this tree. Also, make sure too many of them don't have, like, make sure this tree and this tree are going to have the same type of bark texture, whereas this, you can keep the same for that type of tree. But, that feels bigger than I remember. Anyway, let me do that. Copying it. Making sure there's a variety and that you can see it. Also, if this is where you spawn, or just people are going to walk through these roads, make sure there's trees on this, and if there's too many, let's go with Ruin, for example. Oh yeah, with Ruin, I did the whole blob thing that I just warned you against, but it's just, I like the lighting too much over here. And not many of our soldiers on the group I'm in are going to be over here. And this right here, these effects make up for it. But, yeah, some of these leaves up here, I made it where they didn't cast a shadow, so there wasn't a huge blob of it. Just shadow laying over here. I could probably, yeah, like this. Actually, that one didn't, but maybe it's the one over here. There's the one, yeah, this one. Okay. Oh, okay, I made these cast shadows off when the lighting was originally different. So originally, it was probably a bit like... Pretty sure I changed, yeah, I changed the location with this too. But, yeah, when it was like this originally, let's go to here. I can probably get away with that. Let's find the shade. Oh yeah, these leaf particles, really pay attention to how many you have on. Yeah, okay, here's a good example. I'll turn one off, so there's still that thing of shadows, but there's still lighting, so as you walk by it, you can see the shadow go on you, but also the lighting in other areas. You should probably get what I mean. So let's go right here. Trees aren't extremely close to the road always, but probably back it out a bit. And let's add another one. Yeah, that looks good. So let's go here. Just add random shit. That's too close to the road. Really pay attention. You can put small quality into this. It takes a lot longer, but it looks a lot fucking better, too. I don't like that. I don't like when they touch next to each other, two different layers I put. And sometimes if it's big, like when I used to do this, when it was bigger, I'd smooth it out, and if it... Oh my god. Okay. smooth it out. I think it's using the grass because it's nearby. It is. Okay, let's do this. I can spread it out more depending on how the smooth goes. If it ends up just still looking like this, then I would go like that. Or if you can go like this is another technique. Let's spread this out so it's, I can do that. Okay, so if you have something like this, you can go like that, so there's still them there, 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 and then you can do smooth. And that looks, I like it. It makes it look smooth and just natural looking. Put that there. That there. Even the shadows put here, but I'd put that more so for the mud because it's probably be more noticeable. Areas like that. And then let's grab some grass now. Now we're actually gonna get into the adding extra terrain objects. Okay, I hope this is still recording. I'm gonna get annoyed if it isn't. Okay, so don't add too many of these layers of grass or else you'll have a lot of parts and it just becomes redundant. And I don't like that effect where it's just coming out one end and yet, yeah, you probably get what I mean, where it's just some grass here, barely any, and then some popping out here. So I'll barely touch that so it's more even. Yeah, let's try to smooth that out right here. I like that little pointy thing. Yeah, so add that, probably lower it a bit, and then it's another Evolve. Actually, I'm going to copy this type of bush instead, because I already have Evolve in game. Well, in Studio. So, put this here, let's save. It's in distance, that bush I don't put as common as the Evolve. I make sure that this Evolve is the most common. You don't have to use this bush, by the way. Just make sure you choose the most common bush. Because then if you run out of ideas for a bush and variety, you can just go back to this. Yeah, right here. Make sure a bush isn't going into a tree. And I know I'm going through a tutorial, so I'm going to specifically pay attention to more details, but this is how I am in Studio as well. Okay, since there's a variety of 2 sizes, so it's on a little edge there, I'm going to make sure it's a little rotated. Okay, so there's 2 sizes, you want to use a small as well. Okay, so you have that. And then let's add a log. And since I already textured it, I don't have to worry about that. Retexturing, okay. Also, make sure this log I can get away with being a bit bigger because I'm putting it more into the terrain. But, yeah, make sure it's still relatively the same size because it doesn't make sense if it's like this difference. Alright, then let's go. I have one here, right? Where is it? Yeah, here. I make sure to put these not as common, too, so they feel a bit more special. Although, with your game, since I was doing it in 2 days, I put like 2 of them in this area, because I just duplicated that and put over here, and I moved some of the models here, the meshes, or whatever, trees, bushes, so it felt a bit different. But, honestly, it would probably look better if this wasn't here. So that's more unique. And then you look over and you're like, oh, you didn't just duplicate that and then put over here. Yeah, I have one there. I have at least one here. I know I do. Wait, do I? Yeah, one there, and I have one around here, I think. If I don't, I'm impressed. Okay, good. So I have a lack of those. So, yeah, and then for the leaves, which I can struggle with at times, make sure it's not like you have, since there's less trees over here, there's less likely leaves to be coming from that direction. So I'm going to put this transparent a bit off so I know how far it is. So it's, the trees are starting there, and the trees are starting there. And make sure it's at an angle, so when people look up and see where the trees are coming from, it's right here, and make sure the leaves are blowing down, or at an angle. Not straight down, like this, because barely any leaves do that. There's wind in the world that push leaves. So, yeah, if it's down like this, hidden, it's going down, and it actually makes sense. I'd actually prefer this tree not to be here, because if it looks more crowded looking, it makes more sense for that many leaves to be coming down. Alright, although I prefer that tree next to here when it just comes to walking next to it. Let's see if I can make that better, because I don't want the leaves being in the way. But I don't want to push it any farther, or else it's going to cover up that. Okay, let's turn that can slide off. Okay. Also, focus a lot on sound effects. Like, I put a sound effect here. Like, in the waterfall, I put one for the ocean. I made sure it wasn't too loud. Like, when you spawn here. Also, that water thing, that's a mistake I did. You can make it where the lines don't show up. It's a mistake I did. But, yeah, you can still hear the ocean, but as you're getting further away, you don't hear as much. But then you start hearing the wildlife. And if you get closer to the waterfall, you can hear it. And I have those in terrain objects, because I don't know where the fuck to put them. So let's put one here. Don't put too many. And if you're going to put more than one, make sure they're far away, or else you're going to hear both of them at the same time, and it's going to sound weird as fuck. Put this up in the trees so they can't just walk right next to the sound. Yeah. So you walk around. There's the leaves. If I was going in this direction, I would put more land out here, so you could put another layer of leaves. But only do this in areas you're just going to be walking in, and you're not likely as much to battle. Like here. I only put the leaves here, and this can be for training, but since the leaves are only here and nowhere else on the map, it's not going to lag it. So yeah, it's going down like this. It's going in a different range. So yeah, this is the general gist of how I do the terrain. Now, for one thing also, I noticed in your one fortress map, you just use terrain as a hill going down. Like this, but without these extra rocks. So it's got to look even more smooth terrain. Like, and you don't want that. Like, you don't want a hill that's almost like a mountain, just going up like this. Like that. It doesn't look as good in my opinion. I think it's better if for certain areas, use rocks instead. Oh, I didn't have this rock go all the way down. That's a mistake I made. But, yeah. And I added some rock terrain going this way. Like, I'll go down like that. Cover up holes. That's likely like that, because I'm, like, when I go like this, yeah, there's opening. Also, make sure don't use, I noticed on your fortress map, also, you used the same rock. I'm pretty sure you used this one over and over. Don't do that. Use different versions of rocks, because no mountains look the exact same. So try to make it look different. Like these two are the same rock mesh, but I changed the length and also rotated it. Pretty sure. Yeah, it's the same one. Just go like that. And that. But since I did it differently and rotated it, sized it differently, looks like different meshes. So, yeah, that's what I did. This. So, generally that's really it. And also, the final note, when you have rocks, try to put barely the rock terrain, like paint, next to it. It makes it look better. And if you're going to do a little pond like this, don't use terrain under it, just use rocks. I feel like that's routine go. It'll look better if all these rocks are smaller next to each other. It's just I'm trying to save parts. Because when I was doing this map, I didn't know exactly how many parts you need. And also you need to rotate this. Because this is, you're coming out here and then you have to walk all around. That's really obnoxious. Don't do that. And also I noticed you use this for steps. Don't do that. That's really lazy. Instead, just do simple shit like this. It's just one part. All I did was, I'd do one straight, rotate it. Like I would, oh yeah, okay, this is the rotated one. Normal, rotated. Normal, rotated. Normal, actually that was rotated. Normal, that's rotated. That's rotated. Like I have these at different ones. Simple things. And also make sure, like when you walk up, if one step isn't too high and when you walk over it, it doesn't let you walk over, don't do that. Make sure you can walk over it with ease. But yeah, generally everything is about the vibe you get from walking around. Add sound effects. You don't have to overdo it, but just add sound effects. And what I do with a lot of my games, I'll spend like 10 minutes walking around right after I made a major success and like the progress made. I'll just walk around, look for bugs, go for the feel as if you're a visitor and you're judging your own game. You don't have to go too harsh in the judgment. Just look for shit you don't like. And then if it's changeable and you know it's not exactly just unbelievable nitpicking, yeah, you'll like your game a lot more. Also, for smooth, I think I need to do this a bit more on this side. And also, if it's on the edge of a road, this is ground by the way, you can just add specks like that away from it. So it feels a bit more natural. And then you smooth. Yeah, like that looks like a natural looking road. But yeah, that's generally it. Anything else, I'm just going to let you learn on your own path. Make sure to watch out for parts you have in game, because terrain landscape work like this can stack it up a lot. So, yeah, that's it.